Hey, listen, we got to talk about it in this week's Money Mondays. What's been going on with the financial markets? Listen, it's been a lot happening all through last week, and I'm going to cover it right now. Like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Without further ado, let's get into it. So listen, Tesla, right? It had its recent earnings call. You know, if you don't know what an earnings is done quarterly. Companies report what they have done throughout the quarter, and they actually missed on the top and bottom line, but their stock shot up 12%, right? And that's mainly because they said that they're starting production of the affordable new EV by early 2025, right? So it's finally going to be a Tesla that they're saying that everyone can afford, because we know that China's already working on things like that, right? So Elon's going to make a Tesla. Production going to start in 2025 that everyone supposedly can afford. So I'm thinking they talking about the mid 40 range, right? Not just this 70, 80, 90, 100, 120, $130,000 range, but 40,000, 30,000, even maybe 25,000. Can it happen? Can it do it? So we're gonna find out. But yeah, the stock shot up during the earnings 12%, and it kept going up every day after just a little bit here there. But that's the reason why, if you've seen the stock move lately. So we know that Apple, ticker symbol AAPL, has been doing having a tough time lately, but it's been given a little boost in the market as of late, because they've been reporting that on May 7th they aim to have an event that's going to reveal the new iPad model launching, right? So there might be a new iPad out there that's coming out, and May 7th they're having an event that might reveal that. So, you know, basically Apple right now is moving behind the 8 ball, so they're trying to do things to get in front of it, because lately we all have been seeing kind of the gradual demise almost of Apple products. So, you know, they got to kickstart this thing again, and May 7th with the new iPad model that's going to be coming out, that's being revealed, it maybe getting jump started now. So we'll see, but yeah, Apple definitely needs some new news to pump up the stock so we all can make money, right? Let's go. Yeah, so I know you heard about it. President Biden signed into law forcing TikTok parent company to sell face US ban, right? So basically they want TikTok to sell their US based assets to a American based company, right? And I think I saw something saying even Paramount was looking to buy it. But I saw also the CEO of TikTok say they would rather just shut down operation in America rather than sell off its US based assets. So this could turn into a whole China US thing, right? It's becoming political, and regular everyday people making money enjoying TikTok is having to be a part of what's happening here. A political thing in an election year. Come on now. But it was signed into law that yeah, they got about a year, I think. So it's gonna see, this is the tricky thing, cause I think nothing has to happen until after the election, right? So we know that, you know, with appeals and court proceedings, this can go on forever, which ultimately probably leads to nothing. But as of right now, it was the news of the week pretty much, with President Biden signing into law that they have up until January or so to find a new owner of the American-based assets. But we know that this is more political than actual. Let's go. So last week was a big earnings time for technology, right? So we had Meta actually beat on the top and bottom line, but their stock fell, because we all know that more about your future projections, your forward guidance, more than what you did on last quarter, right? So whatever you did last quarter, it can have an impact, but when it comes to earnings and that stock jumping up or jumping down, a lot of times forward guidance is what is moving that. And Meta didn't have enough to move the ball. They dropped like 14%, but a lot of people are up so much on it, that it didn't really make a difference for them. But I could never really bet against Mark Zuckerberg anyway. But also another company that reported was Alphabet. So their shares jumped 12%. And that's basically because they announced their first ever dividend, right? So if you don't know what a dividend is an annually or quarterly, every company is different. They will give their shareholders like a little dividend payout for them having and being loyal investors into their company. But a lot of times when a company starts giving out dividends, that really also means that this company is slowing down in growth. You know what I mean? Like they no longer really have to have money to reinvest. They got so much money now that they really don't know what to do with it. So they give out a dividend. And now this can be good for people with a lot of money that don't want to see a stock move up and down too much. Like most stocks that giving out dividends, their stock is pretty stable. So somebody like that, they might enjoy the dividend, but a lot of the young people, middle age, we want to see growth. We love growth companies. And with Alphabet giving out a dividend, a once beloved growth company is kind of turning that corner, right? Meta started giving out a dividend too. So I don't know what this means. We have to see, like, are they not growth anymore? Are they now blue chips? I don't think so. I think they still growth. So we have to see what that means for these companies. But also make sure you recognize that with TikTok having these issues, Meta should start winning off of these issues that TikTok is facing. As TikTok face legal battles, Meta should have their eyes on the ball and really start kicking up next quarter. Let's go. Now, this is something that I thought was kind of crazy and disturbing, right? But we got to talk about it. So last week, it was said that about 1 in 4 U.S. adults over the age of 50 say they don't expect to ever retire. I mean, this is crazy. 70% of older adults are concerned about prices rising faster than their income. And that's according to AARP survey, right? This is something I talked about over and over again, but it seems like there's an agenda out there to minimize the conversation that inflation is so high that people can't afford things. And I think it's more political than anything else, because if we are talking about inflation and the economy, that's like a bad reflection on the president, right? So I feel like it's a real play to minimize that conversation through various people. And it's sad because it's a real conversation when you're talking about not being able to afford things you could afford just 4 years ago. We're not talking about when we was kids and now we can't afford it. We're talking about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We can afford things we can't afford now. But nobody seems to be addressing this issue. They made it a political thing. And it's sad because a lot of people that's on the brink of retirement are stuck in the middle, right? Like if you're 60, 61, this is a scary time for you. You don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 years, right around the time where you're supposed to retire. Yeah, that poll is crazy. 1 in 4, y'all. But nobody seems to say anything about it. You got a whole group of people that's saying, no, let's not worry about that. Let's think about this and that, but no, the income and what we can afford is very important to the average Americans. That's what they want to talk about, but no one wants to talk about it with them. And that's the problem. So Realtors.com reported that nationally, the typical household would need to earn about $99,000 to buy a middle class price home, right? However, the typical household income in America was only about $75,000 in 2022. Okay, so those numbers don't add up. And 2022 was just, roughly 2 years ago, depending on what time of the year. And for homes to average 415, and a lot of times, even when you qualify for the loan, you really can't make that payment, right? And take care of the house, because houses need work. Things need to be fixed. And you can't just say, okay, I have enough to pay my mortgage. It's bigger than that, right? Like, you got utilities, you got insurance. So, it's sad that they making these kind of claims of what you even can afford, because be honest, that threshold is worse than that, because besides putting a down payment or just qualifying for the loan, you also have to save enough to come up with the down payment. You also have to have enough to make sure that you can move into your house flawlessly and fix whatever need to be fixed. So and then you don't want to be house poor at the same time. So that's not happening in today's society, and there's polls to prove it. So we have to acknowledge these things and really address them if we want to be a great nation. Yeah, so let's go through it. States where home buyers need the highest income, right, to purchase a home. You got Hawaii, you got Massachusetts, California, New York, and Washington. States where home buyers need the lowest amount of income to purchase a home: West Virginia, Ohio, Michigan, Louisiana, and Mississippi, right? I don't know if anybody want to move to those places, but these are the polls, and you could judge and base your maybe moving decisions on this poll and this list. So check it out. So in lieu of all that, mortgage rates, on top of what I just said, rose above 7% last week, right? And this is part of the problem. When interest rates are above 7%, that means you have people that's going to be paying more than even double what they borrow by the end of their 30 years. And that's a problem. That's a real problem. We have to do something, because for the longest time, we had no more than 5% on interest for the longest time, 2008 to about 2018-19. I'm not talking about 2-3 years. I'm talking about since that problem happened in 2008, the Great Recession, till the pandemic, right? Mortgage rates was great. And now we have pendulum swung, and no one seems to care or want to get us back down. They keep saying, oh, well, back in 2001, it was at 15%. Well, if it was, I wasn't able to buy nothing back then. I can buy something now. And this is the time I care about. I want to do well now. This is something that all the policymakers and decision makers will have to come together and really focus on, so that we can have a better way of living for the average everyday American. Let's go. Hey, so beautiful people, listen, if you like what you hear, if you want more, I want you guys to subscribe to my YouTube or follow me on Instagram. And also, if you need help with your finances, if you need a coach, I am your financial coach, and we could get together, form up a session, and really get you to where you want to be and where you see yourself and your family in the next coming years financially. So let me know. Let's win, people.